A Gesamtkunstwerk is a work of art that makes use of all or many art forms or strives to do so. The term is a German word which has come to be accepted in English as a term in aesthetics. The term was first used by the German writer and philosopher K.F.E. Trahndorff in an essay in 1827. The German opera composer Richard Wagner used the term in two 1849 essays. It is unclear whether Wagner knew of Trahndorff's essay. The word has become particularly associated with Wagner's aesthetic ideals. In the 20th century, some writers applied the term to some forms of architecture. Before Wagner, some elements of opera reform, seeking a more classical formula, had begun at the end of the 18th century. After the lengthy domination of opera seria, and the da capo aria, a movement began to advance the librettist and the composer in relation to the singers, and to return the drama to a more intense and less moralistic focus. This movement, reform opera, is primarily associated with Christoph Willibald Gluck and Rainieri de Calzabigi. The themes in the operas produced by Gluck's collaborations with Calzabigi continue throughout the operas of Carl Maria von Weber, until Wagner, rejecting both the Italian bel canto tradition and the French spectacle opera, developed his union of music, drama, theatrical effects, and occasionally dance. However, these trends had developed fortuitously, rather than in response to a specific philosophy of art. Wagner, who recognized the reforms of Gluck and admired the works of Weber, wished to consolidate his view, originally, as part of his radical social and political views of the late 1840s. Previous to Wagner, others who had expressed ideas about union of the arts, which was a familiar topic among German romantics, as evidenced by the title of Trahndorff's essay, in which the word first occurred, aesthetics, or theory of philosophy of art. Others who wrote on syntheses of the arts included Gottfried Lessing, Ludwig Tieck and Novalis. Carl Maria von Weber's enthusiastic review of E. T. A. Hoffmann's opera Undine admired it as an artwork complete in itself, in which partial contributions of the related and collaborating arts blend together, disappear, and, in disappearing, somehow form a new world. Wagner's ideas. Wagner used the exact term Gesamtkunstwerk on only two occasions, in his 1849 essays Art and Revolution, and The Artwork of the Future, where he speaks of his ideal of unifying all works of art via the theatre. He also used in these essays many similar expressions such as the consummate artwork of the future and the integrated drama, and frequently referred to Gesamtkunst. Such a work of art was to be the clearest and most profound expression of a folk legend, though abstracted from its nationalist particulars to a universal humanist fable. Wagner felt that the Greek tragedies of Aeschylus had been the finest examples so far of total artistic synthesis, but that this synthesis had subsequently been corrupted by Euripides. Wagner felt that during the rest of human history up to the present day the arts had drifted further and further apart, resulting in such monstrosities as grand opera. Wagner felt that such works celebrated bravura singing, sensational stage effects, and meaningless plots. In Art and Revolution, Wagner applies the term Gesamtkunstwerk in the context of Greek tragedy. In The Artwork of the Future he uses it to apply to his own, as yet unrealized, ideal. In his extensive book Opera and Drama he takes these ideas further, describing in detail his idea of the union of opera and drama, in which the individual arts are subordinated to a common purpose. Wagner's own opera cycle Der Ring der Nibelungen, and specifically its components Das Rheingold and Die Wolke 1/4 represent perhaps the closest he, or anyone else, came to realizing these ideals. He was himself after this stage to relax his own strictures and write more operatically. Gesamtkunstwerk in architecture. Some architectural writers have used the term Gesamtkunstwerk to signify circumstances where an architect is responsible for the design and/or overseeing of the building's totality, shell, accessories, furnishings, and landscape. It is difficult to make a claim for when the notion of the Gesamtkunstwerk was first employed from the point of view of a building and its contents. Already during the Renaissance, artists such as Michelangelo saw no strict division in their tasks between architecture, interior design, sculpture, painting and even engineering. It has been argued by historian Robert L. Delevoye that Art Nouveau represented an essentially decorative trend that thus lent itself to the idea of the architectural Gesamtkunstwerk. But it was equally born from social theories that arose out of a fear of the rise of industrialism. A distinctly modern approach to the concept of architectural Gesamtkunstwerk emerged with the Bauhaus school, first established in Weimar in 1919 by Walter Gropius. The school specialized in design, art and craftsmanship. Gropius contended that artists and architects should also be craftsmen, that they should have experience working with different materials and artistic mediums, including industrial design, clothes design and theater and music. However, Gropius did not necessarily see a building and every aspect of its design as being the work of a single hand. Switzerland, Bruno Weber Park, Sculpture Garden by Bruno Weber Centre Le Corbusier, dedicated to Le Corbusier, references. Further reading, Finger, Anke and Danielle Follett. The Aesthetics of the Total Artwork, On Borders and Fragments, The Johns Hopkins University Press, Gray, Thomas S. The Cambridge Companion to Wagner, Cambridge University Press. ISBN 978-0-521-64439-6, Koss, Juliet. Modernism After Wagner, University of Minnesota Press, ISBN 978-0-8166-5159-7, Millington, Barry. The Wagner Compendium, A Guide to Wagner's Life and Music. Thames and Hudson Limited, London. ISBN 0-02-871359-1, Millington, Barry. Gesamtkunstwerk, in Oxford Music Online, Trahndorff, Carl Friedrich Ausbauästhetik oder Löwenweltanschauung und Kunst, Wagner, Richard, Tr. W. Ashton Ellis. The Artwork of the Future and Other Works. Lincoln and London, ISBN 0-8032-9752-1, Warwick, John. Gesamtkunstwerk in the Oxford Companion to Music Online, external links, the dictionary definition of Gesamtkunstwerk at Wiktionary.